Are y'all ready to go back in time to 2 weeks before good Mike Wirt graduated from high school? What's going on, guys? We're here. Sunday Night Classic pay-per-view watch-along. We're going to show WCW some love tonight. We've been talking about which watch-alongs to do in the month of May. Wanted to do some Judgment Days and things like that, which we have done. But it's been a while since we've done a WCW show. I think we did a couple of last year. We did a Starrcade. We did a Halloween Havoc. I think we did a Fall Brawl. But we haven't done any in 2022, and I thought this would be a good one to do. Slamboree 1995. Very interesting show, and, kind of topical in a way. Cody is on this show. Dusty Rhodes goes into the WCW Hall of Fame, and when I was kind of browsing through the card here of the show a little bit, I was like, that's kind of interesting. They had a lot of dark matches on the show. I think we have an IWGP Heavyweight Championship match on this show as well. We've got the very first appearance of the Giant, when Paul White came into WCW and started tormenting Hulk Hogan. That started going on here as well, and a whole bunch of other cool things happening on this show. Vader is in the main event. He would just be a couple of months away from leaving the company, and we'll probably dig up a whole bunch of other fun facts as we go through here. I see We Are Pro Wrestling also mentioning this is the televised debut of Paul White and the final live appearance for Gordon Solie, which I was not aware of. I don't recall Gordon Solie very often after 1995, but I didn't even realize that this was his final appearance. And I thought the WCW Hall of Fame thing was weird. I have a lot of memories of this pay-per-view. I actually watched it or listened to it on like the Scrambled channel, because back then I wasn't buying WCW pay-per-views, only WWE. And I remember listening to the Hall of Fame part as they were announcing and inducting people like Big John Studd. And I just thought it was odd. I was like, they are really trying to, separate themselves away from WWE. And now, they're putting in, dudes into the Hall of Fame, just like WWE had started to do like 2 years before. Interesting time. And I don't think I've ever in my life gone through and watched this pay-per-view straight through. Seen clips, seen the Hall of Fame stuff, probably seen some of the main event before, and I've definitely seen the Giants debut. But a lot of this pay-per-view is going to be kind of like the first time for me, or the first time in a very, very long time. So this should be a fun one. Finally showing WCW some love. So welcome to the watch-along. I'm going to say hi to everybody who is here in the chat. And as most of you know, we do all of these watch-alongs on Peacock. So if you want to find Slamboree 1995 over on the Peacock, you got to go to the WCW tab, search out the Slamboree pay-per-views, and you're going to want to look for Season 3, Episode 1 of Slamboree. According to Peacock, it is a 2-hour, 43-minute, and 50-second runtime. So another pretty short pay-per-view here. And it's headlined by Hogan and Savage taking on Flair and Vader, and a whole bunch of other cool shit as well. So we'll scroll over here to the chat, say hi to Justin, Tatanani. We Are Pro Wrestling in the house. I'm glad James is here. We might have some questions for him. Mike Witt, WWE fan forever. Nick, Mezzo Songbird. Ray Frand is in the house. Right on. We've got Rodrigo, David Brown, Zane, Jet the Hawk, some monkey wrenches, which is good. Did I see K-Dog's Kennel in the house? What's up, man? You are here, and I am glad you are here. I forgot to mod you up. I meant to do that last episode as well. Hey, Greg, how's it going? Planning a trip to the San Diego area next year. Would love to have a chance to meet up for a drink. Absolutely, man. Come out to the Whale's Vagina. Let me know when you're here. We'll go out. We'll meet up and have a hoot. It'll be awesome. You will love, love, love San Diego. I've met up with a few fans here in San Diego when they've come into town before, so you won't be the first. It'll be a lot of fun, and would love to get you out here to the West Coast. George Morris in the house. Man, I can't wait to read this. $5 from you. Thank you, dude. Hey, Greg, how are you doing? How is Bub? WCW Slamboree 95, 10 out of 10. Women's toilet still at work. Still won't work. At work, still won't flush, according to co-workers. Big bill. So that's lucky that you don't have to be around this overflowing toilet. Restaurants can be gnarly. When the plumbing starts fucking up, it comes up from everywhere. It comes up in your kitchen, comes up in your bathroom. It's a mess. Dealt with that before. I'm not envious of your coworkers, and yeah, plumbing bills, especially when I rip up the floor and redo pipes and shit, is crazy. We just dropped $100,000 in the restaurant last year for the same problem. So it's fucking nuts. Bub, of course, is still doing great. Thank you, George, for being here. Good to see Robert in the house, Ramon, and Chris Ludecki chiming in with a $10 drop. Good to see you, man. Hey, Greg, hope all is well. I'll be in Carlsbad. I was in Carlsbad today. Interesting. When you're in Vegas next week, but since I'm still in Irvine, I want to meet up for lunch or some weekend coming up. Yeah, depending on how long you're going to be there. If you're in town in this area, we can definitely do that. I was up in Carlsbad today, right on the ocean, having lunch at Vigalucci's. It was a late Mother's Day get-together for my mom since, me and my two sisters have very busy lives. It's hard to get everybody together, and we weren't able to get together and do a Mother's Day thing until today. And you should have seen me yesterday going to the store trying to buy a card for my mom and realizing, it ain't Mother's Day anymore, and there's no cards available. So Adventures of Greg is always interesting here in San Diego. But thanks, everybody, for being here. Chris and George, appreciate the supers. Good to see James Jakubowski in the house as well. I probably butchered that last name. So anyway, during the time that I've been flapping my gums, hopefully you have pulled up Slamboree 95 on your cock. And you have got everything set up. Most of you guys know how this works. You want to watch all your ads, do whatever you need to do there, and get all of your zeros across the board, and then we're going to all hit play together. Once we do that, the timer above my head will start to move. And the plan for all of these watch-alongs is for the timer to never stop. So if I have any issues with my stream or anything like that, the timer will just keep moving, and I will catch up and just sync up to the timer. That's all you got to do, right above my head. Make sure you're synced up to that. We can all watch along together. If you're not watching on Peacock, you're watching on the WWE Network, you probably won't sync up perfectly, but you will be close. And if you're watching on VHS tape, you are fucked. So there's probably not a good way to really, really watch if you've busted out the good old VCR. So hopefully, during this time, you guys have got Slamboree 95 pulled up. We'll let you guys gather yourself. We'll hit play in 1 second here. Before we do that, I will answer another 5 from Chris. Appreciate 5 more. Let's meet up in Carlsbad on a weekend. I live in Irvine, and my new job is remote, so I can go anywhere. That is nice. Well, Carlsbad, I'm not that super familiar with. My sister lives up in that area, and I'm up there every so often, but it's not a regular place that I go. I've lived in California for 12 years. I've probably been to Carlsbad 20 times, but, I don't have any, local favorites or anything. So we'll find a bar. We will meet up. It will be a blast. Maybe we can even do it on the same weekend Kevin's here. So who knows? But anywho, let me get my Slamboree ready. I'm ready to rock over here. Hopefully you guys are as well. I just got to get my finger on the play button and my finger on the timer and do a double clicking thing, and we will be off and running for WCW Slamboree 1995. Cody, like I said, is on the show. You can see him in the background. I don't know how old he is, maybe 10, while his dad is being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it is interesting with Dusty because, and maybe James can answer this for me, at We Are Pro Wrestling. I'm curious I'm pretty sure if I remember right, although I'm not positive, Dusty, I think, thanks Dustin and everything, but him and Dustin were right about to start their falling out. It had to have been right around this time because Dustin would be in WWE as Gold Dust in 6 months or 5 months. He debuted, I think, in October, and here we are in May, and I'm pretty sure the pay-per-view before this was probably uncensored or maybe Spring Stampede, but I'm pretty sure it was the uncensored show. It was Dustin Rhodes taking on Barry Darso, or the Blacktop Bully, and they did that match in the back of the truck, and they both got fired because they bladed for some reason. So Dustin was out of the company, also probably starting to have some personal issues with Dusty, and then just a few months later, he is in WWE as Goldust, and that was all going on right around this time. Dustin's daughter, Dakota, she was probably just born. She might be like an infant around this time, like a super, super small baby. So, yeah, this was an interesting time in 1995. And like I said, it was just a couple of weeks before yours truly got out of school forever and never went back. Got out of high school, did a little bit of college, and I'm like, fuck this. I am happy to be outside of the classroom and no more pencils, no more books. And it has now been a glorious 27 years that I have been out of school and out of exams and out of tests and out of teachers. And I'm still happy that it's over. It's been nearly 30 years. How crazy is that? So anywho, let's go to the Peacock. All right, I'm ready to rock over here on my play button and everything. We'll do a countdown from 3, and I'll hit play together as long as you guys are ready. Are you ready? I think you're ready. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. Perfect. Timer's running. Cock is running. Don't skip the intro. Let's just watch it. Also, during the Slamborees back in these days, they used to do the Legends matches. I think they do one here. I think it's Dick Murdoch and I don't know who, maybe McDaniel or something. And it was so weird. They would do it in black and white. So I'm curious if they do the black and white match here, or if they did away with that by the time we got to 1995. St. Petersburg, Florida is the venue for this. Oh, gotta take our medicine. A little pro wrestling WCW gummy. Eric Bischoff, I can hear his dumb voice. Who else is on the call with him? Bobby and Gene. Gene won't be doing commentary. Oh, so this is earlier on in the night. So Hawk must have came in by himself here. And Hawk faces Ming later on. Holy shit. I'd like to see that in a shoot. Hawk and Ming. Holy crap. I'd still take Ming. Oh, 95 was the only year. I would have sworn they did it in 94. We Are Pro. Wow. Why do I have all other memories? Like 93 and 94, they didn't do the black and white? I would have sworn they did. God, the show was 27 years ago. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure the date on this was May 21st, which was yesterday. So we are almost hitting this on the actual anniversary. Look at Booker T. Shucky Ducky. I love that we're just getting Harlem Heat's music along with some really, really low-budget editing. WCW, man, when they were crushing WWE in like the ratings and just overall popularity, they still could not hold a candle to WWE in production. Like, no matter how big WCW got, they still had that low-tech production. They just looked a little low budget or something. There was just something off about it. And there's probably really nothing wrong with it. It's just when you compare it to WWE, who did everything so well, even in those days when business was down, 93, 94, 95, 96, some of the worst years in the company, they still had phenomenal production. But look at Sherry. She is so hot. Is this before or after? Or when did Booker T say what he said to Hogan? I think that was later on. I think that was after Hogan joined the NWO. So I don't think Booker T busted out that N-word quite yet. I think that was another year later, I think. So great. All right, here comes the Nasties. Nasty Boys are another one of those teams that were just lucky, even in the 90s before WWE was so obsessive about intellectual property and stuff. They were a team that was able to be the Nasty Boys everywhere they went. Keep the name, keep the logo, keep the design. Of course, their real names are their real names. And then even the music's the same because Jimmy Hart produced both WWE and WWF versions. Here comes Sags. Jerry Sags gets pyro. Jerry Sags gets pyro. Is this a one-on? What the fuck's going on? Where's Nobby? Where's Nobby-Nobberino? Where's the Knobster? Big time Nobby Jam. He said it at Spring Stampede 97 2 years later. I was thinking it was kind of close to this. Wow. Never mind. All right, so Booker T's still cool. Yo, Tomas, good to see you, man. Appreciate the $2. Happy you are here. Glad you're able to be here for a watch-along. These have been a lot of fun. I do think we got one NBA game on tonight. I think Dallas and maybe Phoenix or something. Who the fuck are they playing? Golden State. Look at Sherry. Very slow walk to the ring. A lot of pyro for Harlem Heat, too. Sister Sherry. What a cougar. What a MILF Sherry is. She's like a slutty Mary Steenburgen. Injured, okay. So Knobs is injured. Don't recall why or how. So what do they do? Does he get a partner? What's up, Edward Smith? Good to see you. Motown in the house. Are any of our teams ever going to win a championship ever before we die? We have any hope for the Wings, Tigers, Pistons? I'm not even going to mention the Lions because I know there's no hope. But you would think the Wings have got to start getting good at some point again, right? Bring back Scotty Bowman, Sergei Fedorov. Get Yzerman back on the ice. Fucking Osgood. Between the posts. All right, so this is really going to be a fucking Jerry Sags handicap match? Or is Knobs going to hobble his ass out there at some point? He's just a yellow coward, Bobby Heenan says. Yeah, two people from Houston. They could have just been Houston Heat. I love that, you know, they get two big, rough and tough black guys. They have to be from Harlem, right? They can't be from anywhere else. I'm like, why can't they be from Houston? Houston's tough, too. Houston Heat maybe wouldn't sound quite as good as Harlem Heat, but... I mean, I've always considered the Hollywood Blondes my favorite WCW tag team of all time, but it might be a tie with Harlem Heat. I mean, that Harlem Heat, even to me when I was watching this back in the day, they looked to me like a WWE team. They looked to me like two guys that could legitimately fuck you up. And I was like, Jesus, if they went to the WWE, they'd kill fucking everybody. They'd murder all the teams. Fucking Skip and Zip, are you kidding me? Skip and Zip versus Harlem Heat? Come on now. Well, it was 95. I'm not sure if Skip and Zip were there yet. Skip was. Pritchard was too, but they weren't Zip and Skip yet. Who are the teams around 95? Let me think. We'd have right around that right now, this time in WWE, we'd have Allied Powers. We'd have Jacob and Eli Blue. We'd have Owen and Yoko. We'd have the Smoking Guns. None of those teams in my mind looked more badass than Harlem Heat, although I think Davey Boy and Lex would give them a run for their money. Who else in WWE have in 95? Maybe the New Rockers may or may not have been around that time. Oh, geez, yeah. With the idea of them being the prisoners with Colonel Parker and coming to the ring in chains. Yeah, not the best idea, probably. Especially with someone like Parker, you know. I mean, all them Fullerers, they just come off as, like, you know, racist rednecks. You know, that's kind of the vibe they give off. So that would have been even crazier. Spaz Phoenix is in the house. What's up, dude? Appreciate the 10. What's up, Greg and chat? Cat and chat. Something different to cheaply plug. I popped out a long-form commentary on the Sasha and Naomi walkout. Pretty sure my opinion won't be the popular one, but that's half the fun. Exactly. With situations like this, you're going to have all sorts of different situations. If you're in there defending WWE management, I think you need to take some medicine. But, oh, wow, he slapped the shit out of Sherry. Look at her sell it with the spit. That was crazy, son. I want to see that again. Show me a replay. He looked like he legitimately slapped Sherry. Yeah. I think Sherry's going to get in the ring and fuck you up. I don't know. Jerry Sags versus Sherry? It's kind of an even match if you ask me. I think Sherry could take him. God, he just slapped her. And she bumped off the apron. Is Colonel Parker bigger than Batista? No. Fullers are big. I don't think they're bigger than Batista. Interesting little venue. It's pretty small here. What's the attendance on this? Where are they at? Fort Lauderdale? Looks like about 7,000 in there. Attendance list is list 7, Bayfront Arena. Interesting. I think Gordon Soley sits in on the Legends match, which is kind of cool. So we'll hear him on commentary. Oh, nice, David. Enjoy your holiday, man. Holidays are the best. I got Vegas coming up in a few days. I leave in just at the end of the week to go to Double or Nothing. Then I'm home for a month, and then I'm off to Hawaii for a week. Last time I was in Hawaii, I did a video. It was right after like the draft or the superstar shakeup, and I did a video right on the balcony, which happened to be the same day my dad died. But I did it right there with the palm trees in the background and everything, trying to go through the draft picks. I don't recognize this referee either. Good. There goes Sherry. All she did was grab his foot. But she's just distracting him. This is a legit fucking handicap match. It's 3-on-1. Sags is fighting both guys. Plus he slapped the shit out of Sherry, which I don't know if I'll ever forgive him for. Yeah, there's your receipt, Knobs. Although I don't know if Sherry got... Oh, yeah, she got 2. I was about to say, you need to hit him again. Interesting having the stairs right in front of the ring. WCW used to do that sometimes. ECW did too. Look at this big guy. Who's that, Braun Strowman in the front row? Or is that Ogre or from the Revenge of the Nerds? Yeah, Mike, we'll bust out an ECW one. I thought about an ECW one for this show, but I was like, we got to get a WCW one done. Do I have any Slamborees? Please hold. Nope. I only have 2 Slamborees, technically 3. I have no idea why, but I have 2 copies of Slamboree 94, a Legends reunion. Obviously, I guess headlined by Sting and Vader. And then I got this one, which is a newer one. This looks like 99. Slamboree 99. I think it's sealed. Oh, no, it's not sealed. It's in a case, but it's got a video rental thing on it and all that shit. So, yeah, I got a few Slamborees, but I don't have this one. I don't have 1995. My mic setup is weird. I have to hit it all the time because my boom arm has to attach to the desk right here next to me instead of on the other side, because it's just, unless I drill a big hole in the desk, I can't attach it over there because there's a back to the desk and everything. So I just have it in a weird, awkward position sometimes, and I always knock it. RVD and Sabu and Hakushi and Hayabusa at Heatwave. That would be fun. What if we were watching this on Betamax? I remember Betamax. I remember when they existed, you'd go to the, in the early days, you'd go to the video rental store and there would be a Betamax section. And it was basically like, I think the same thing would happen years later. I think it was Betamax and VHS, and then the same thing would happen years later with Blu-ray and HD DVD. And Blu-ray won out just like VHS won out. Luckily for me, I never got into Blu-rays, never cared. Didn't want, or didn't necessarily hate them or anything. I just liked the simpler DVDs. They were easier to collect. They were compatible with every machine and shit like that. And, when I did buy a few Blu-rays, they took forever to load, and everything extra that you would get on it was cool and everything, but to me, not worth it to start a whole fucking Blu-ray collection. And I'm glad that I made that decision because Blu-rays aren't even that big of a deal now. Everything's streaming. So it was kind of a short-lived phase. And I'm glad that I never bought any. I kept everything regular DVDs. I still have an old school 5 DVD changer up there that will upconvert everything to widescreen and full-on HD. It's all I need. Plays all my movies, all my regular DVDs just fine. Oh, good, Mike. You sent me a tweet of my favorite wrestler. Greg Gagner. He was in a tough spot, man, being Vern's son, because he did not have the ability that people like Brett and Owen did, coming from or Eddie, or even Dustin for that matter, of, guys that had really, really, really famous dads. Here comes Knobs. Funny thing is, it kind of just dawned on me now that Nasties are baby faces. I'm like, yeah, Sags is totally working babyface there. Just when he slapped Sherry, that kind of... Here comes Navarino. They had enough medical tape there to go around his wide waist. I mean, if you got a broken rib, is that shit really going to help you? It's still going to hurt to move, breathe. Wow. Oh, big slam. Yeah, Knobs, I don't know what he was back there doing. Stevie Ray going down the... Sherry is on the top rope. And she gets caught easily. Wow! Sherry is getting her ass kicked in this. Jesus. And I was going to throw... Jesus Christ! Sherry is going to have taken the biggest bumps of the night here. She got caught jumping off the top rope and basically just power slammed to the mat. And then he picked her up and threw her over the top rope. Like, threw her over the top rope. Didn't, throw her like a battle royal over the top rope. Like, literally threw her. Big power slam to, I think, Booker. Are they going to win the fucking titles here? Big top rope elbow from Sags. And they beat him. And they won the tag team titles? Oh, my. Yeah, Harlem Heat and Nasties, I think, had quite the rivalry in WCW. I mean, it might have just been a short time, but I think by the next year, you would have a point in WCW where you would have Harlem Heat, Nasties, Steiners, and LOD, I think, all there at the same time, which is pretty incredible. And at the same time, over in WWE, their tag team division was so bad. I remember as a fan complaining about how bad the tag team division was. It was New Rockers, Skip and Zip, Bushwhackers. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, when the best, most dominant team you have is Smoking Guns, that's kind of scary. Oh, look at this. Look at Regal. Oh, yeah, that's when Bobby Eaton. The Blue Bloods. Fucking Bobby Eaton. The Alabama Blue Blood. Look at Regal. Are they coming out here to mess with the Nasties? Oh, that is really weird. We Are Pro Wrestling. There are a few examples of things like that happening, and I never liked it when it does. It's got to be so weird. So basically, they taped TV that's going to air after this pay-per-view 2 weeks before this pay-per-view, which means they had to do the title change. That's really weird. So they had to come out in front of the crowd as champions that night? People who really followed wrestling would have to wonder what the fuck that's about, unless they were taping at the studios and there's a bunch of non-fans there and it didn't matter. Might have been it. Look at this. Just throw Sherry. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Here, get out of here. Psh. Oh, my God, Sherry. Crazy. Yeah, Eaton kind of came in after and joined up with Regal after Triple H left, who was with Regal. So Oh, they're 3-time champs. And they're going to turn around and drop the belts in a little over 2 weeks back to Harlem on Worldwide. Look at Bischoff in his little glasses. This guy's fucking mullets, man. They were pretty perfect for the 90s. I'm pretty sure they left WWE as baby faces. I think they split away from Jimmy Hart and started to get a babyface run, and then they were gone and off to WCW. I love William Regal's or Steven Regal's WCW theme. WCW had some gems. They did. There was a few theme songs that I really liked. I liked William Regal's. I liked Chris Benoit's theme song that he had in WCW. There's a few songs that I thought were good. Some of the biggest stars I hate. I hated Hogan's American-made theme and Savage's knockoff. But every now and then they'd find a good one. I liked a lot of the Luchadors music, like Psychosis and Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. They all had really good ones. Juventud. So this is fucking Sullivan against Da Butcher. Is he the Butcher or is he the man with no name? He's totally useless, Mean Gene says. Fucking Beefcake's totally useless. Because he came in as Brother Brute-Eye, then he turned heel and he was the Butcher, and then Dungeon of Doom, I guess, must have kicked him out. Now he's man with no name. Then he would return as Zodiac, and then he'd be the Disciple. Like he'd be the Booty Man. So in WCW alone, he had 6. Count them. From 1994 until he left in 99? 5-year span, he had 6 different names. That's insane, son. That is insane. Couldn't be the barber here. And that's what sucks. You know, so many other wrestlers didn't have to worry about that. The Honky Tonk Man, the Nasty Boys didn't have to worry about that shit. But Beefcake did. He couldn't be Brutus Beefcake. Neither could Earthquake couldn't be Earthquake and shit like that. So some were okay and some weren't. I think if Ed Leslie would have been able to keep the entire Brutus the Barber Beefcake gimmick, even after the accident and everything, I think he could have taken that to WCW and done moderately well with it, because they were trying to recreate 80s WWE and WCW around that time. So if Hogan and Savage were over as those, gimmicks, why wouldn't Beefcake be over too? So he kind of got a raw deal. He wasn't able to be his name, and then he was never able to really truly find an identity in that company. He just had a job because of Hogan. Hogan made sure he got a job and got paid. I mean, Beefcake, he main evented Starrcade, 94, right? The Butcher and Hogan. That's what WCW thought the fans wanted to see. Here comes Kevin Sullivan. I've got a regular. He's regular that comes into my restaurant all the time with usually his family or multiple people named Kevin Sullivan. And I see him on the reservation all the time on the computer. And I'm like, yep, Kevin Sullivan's coming in, the Taskmaster. I had a Drew McIntyre in the other day, and Drew McIntyre. I took a picture of his slip and tweeted it. I'm like, some shirtless dude with a sword is in here. Look at Beefcake hitting that high knee early. Who's the woman in the front row? Beefcake going after, or the man with no name, is going after Sullivan. The man with no name. Yeah, exactly, Steven. I mean, if Duggan came in there and won gold the way he did, Brudai would have as well. But, Duggan was, that's his name. He was Jim Duggan way before he came to WWE. I mean, Butch Reed kind of made the Hacksaw nickname first, but by the time he got to WWE, he was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He was able to come over to WCW and do the same thing. So, yeah, when you think about it, we all poke fun at Ed Leslie, but it's just really bad luck is all it is, that he just was one of those unlucky ones that couldn't keep his persona intact. And when you have a company that's trying to basically just recreate what their competition did, this is what we'd make fun of WWE for doing now. Like, they can't even figure out what to do with this guy. They gave him 6 names in 5 years. Like, that's how incompetent they are creatively. They can't think of anything to get him even remotely as over as he was in the other company. But a lot of that was politics and stuff too. He was getting pay-per-view matches and some pretty decent money, I would assume. Because his return to WWE in '93, I don't know how many matches we saw Brutus work, but I'd say 3 or 4, and that was it. And then he was gone with Hogan. Yeah, well, he never really was the same after his accident. He should have died from that. It amazes me that, when he describes what happened, that his face even resembles what it used to look like at all. How it's not just mangled and everything. Like, his face looks pretty good considering his nose was caved into the back of his brain. And they had to lift his broken skull up just so he could breathe when he's laying on the beach choking on his own blood. The fact that he looks normal here is pretty mind-blowing. And I remember as a kid, I would have been 13 or 14 or whenever that happened, but I remember not knowing about it until WWE posted something in the magazine. Because I remember he beat Mr. Perfect at WrestleMania 6. I think he was in the IC tournament a little bit. I saw him a couple times on TV, and then next thing you know, it gets like to the end of the year. I'm like, where the fuck is Beefcake? And I think it was a few months after that, WWE in the magazine released an article, even with a picture of Beefcake with his ring gear jacket on, like some picture at home, and it kind of detailed and explained what happened. But all it said was that he was involved in a parasailing accident. They didn't say like how it happened. So I'm thinking he was the one parasailing and crashed, when really he was just standing on the beach and got caught in the face by a pair of knees. But that's how I found out. It was in WWF magazine before Twitter and internet and all that stuff. Sullivan just got hit with a pile driver here. Are we still a whole year away from Booty Man? That is crazy. Sullivan gives up a little bit of height. Sullivan's going to give up height no matter where he goes or who he works with. Brudai's a monster in size compared to Sullivan. What's up, Resident Evil? Good to see you. These are the matches that were on pay-per-view. Blows my mind. Oh. Oh, is he going to get pinned? Is he going to get beat the same way he beat Perfect at WrestleMania? There he is. Oh, wow. And it would have been right around this time that WWE decided to up their pay-per-views. This was the beginning. This month that we're watching right here is the beginning of pay-per-views every month in wrestling. And that's it. Sullivan pins the man with no name. and we have not looked back since. WWE started the In Your Houses on Mother's Day in 95. Just the 2-hour pay-per-views that would last until, I think, 97, and they'd finally go 3 hours. So they did that for 2 years. Oh, yeah, is this the first look at King Curtis? Look at all the fucking cobwebs. The bowels of New York City. Taskmaster's going after him. Now, I don't know years later if when Prince Iokea would come in, if he was claiming to be the son of Curtis. I don't remember. So I guess, is this the beginning of the Dungeon of Doom then? Because I know he was a part of that. Mm-hmm. His mom and dad are here. Great. Angelo Poffo might be here too. That's cool. We got a whole bunch of legends here. We got King Curtis here. We got Angelo Poffo. We got a whole Hall of Fame ceremony. We got Dickie Murdoch and Wahoo McDaniel. The Mega Powers. What are they called here? The Mega Maniacs or something? It's so funny because the Mega Powers got together on Saturday Night's Main Event after a Savage and Honky Tonk Man match where Savage knocked Jimmy Hart out with a punch. And now it's weird seeing Jimmy and Savage together. That's just very bizarre. That's a whole lot of WWF going on in that one shot right here. It's for all those fans that say, AEW only signs WWE guys. You need to take a look back at this time period of WCW. You need to specifically look at this image right here. Hogan, Savage, Mean Gene, and Jimmy Hart. Oh, that's right. Poffo's going into the Hall of Fame tonight. That's right. Yeah, Hogan won the world title when he came back in 94. It's a year later now. Would Hogan really hold the belt all the way until Halloween Havoc, like a year and a half? In WCW? That's crazy. Randy Savage's dad. Does Poffo do anything else? Does he come back in again? Why do I think they bring him in again for some reason? Mr. fucking sit-up champion or whatever the hell. Let me smell that Slim Jim breath, brother. And Savage breathes in his face. God damn. I hate smelling people's breath. That's so gnarly. Ugh. That's why I'd be a terrible wrestler, because if I had to cut a promo and like be that close to somebody, I'm like, God damn, ugh. Fuck, stop. Stop spitting in my face. Breathing in your germs and shit. Yeah, Flair maybe. I think, yeah, that rings a bell too. I do think Flair gets his hands on Angelo. There he is right there. That's all we got out of Angelo. Here comes the black and white. I mean, Dick Murdoch and Wahoo McDaniel wrestled plenty of matches in color. I mean, Murdoch was wrestling pretty regularly in the 80s. Now, check out Dickie Murdoch. We are in May of 95 here, right? He worked the Royal Rumble, which is kind of cool. He was one of those just random entrants, one of the worst Royal Rumbles ever. They were struggling to fill the field there. Brought in Dick Murdoch. Kind of cool that Murdoch's there, too, with Dusty going to the Hall of Fame, because Dusty pretty much got a start as a tag team with Dick Murdoch. Holy shit, I was putting together my Over the Edge 98 review, and Lawler has this entire segment with the Crusher and Mad Dog Vachon, which I'd completely forgotten about because it was the show was in Milwaukee. And Mad Dog had shown up on WWE before in the Good Friends, Better Enemies thing 3 years prior. Look at Wahoo sauntering out here and seeing Lawler just being Lawler and being an ass. I guess it was a cool moment for the crowd to watch Crusher anyway, fuck around with Lawler and beat him up, but it was clunky as hell, the segment. Gordon Soley, please don't adjust your sets. Why do I think they did the black and white thing every year? Is the Legends match on this 94? Does it show it? No, this has no match listing. Yeah, he passed away a year later in 96. Yeah. I mean, that's a guy that had a whole career of fighting, eating pork rinds, and drinking beer. You're not going to live to 100. He was just a big, big, good old boy. I mean, look at him. I've heard some not great things about Dick Murdoch, to be honest. We won't repeat them here, but might actually be good that this isn't black and white. We don't want any sharp images of what's going on in here. I wonder if these guys got paid pay-per-view money, like if they got what the other guys would get. It would be funny if they couldn't get the color to come back. And like, we're trying to turn the black and white off, and we can't figure it out, so we're going to have to watch the rest of the pay-per-view in black and white. I don't know Wahoo's age here. He looks like he could be 76. I don't know if he's that old. Look at that. Fucking arm drag. Nice. I think we just need to pause for appreciation that we have we have Bobby Heenan and Gordon Soley on commentary at the same time. It may have happened another time in WCW, because I know Soley was in a couple times here and there, but getting Bobby and Soley in the same booth is one of the rarest things wrestling's ever experienced, I think. Tully and Funk at 94. That was a Legends match. It was like the previous year Funk was getting title shots against Flair, right? Or no, maybe that was a few years before that. I guess he was getting up there by then. Look at fucking Murdoch selling that. Now, I think Wahoo, he also did some shit with WWE. I know Strongbow was an official, so Strongbow was there a lot. McDaniel, I think, came in a couple times. I don't know if he worked in any backstage capacity. I don't think he did. But I know he came in to do some shit with Tatanka and stuff, so he was there. Right on, Vash Starwind. Glad you're here. We ain't that far in. What are we in? 41 minutes in so far? It's not so bad. Oh, you missed a hell of a crazy match between the Nasties and the Harlem Heat. We had a stinker with Sullivan and Man with No Name, and now we got a black and white job going on here.
What a team that was with Murdoch and Dusty Rhodes. They beat people up on the way to the town.
Yeah, we can do an old NWA Clash as long as it's on Peacock. If it's on Peacock, it's a possibility. I think that's the best way for everybody to be able to participate. That's why, as of right now, we can't really do any TNA watch-alongs or anything because there's no way for everybody to, universally watch it, where I think most of us have got the cock. Please don't adjust your sets. This match is in black and white. I mean, neither company at this time was really setting the world on fire. WCW was doing more business because they had the recognizable names from when wrestling was popular. But overall, I think it was in a downswing right now. And WWE had all sorts of weird shit going on with Lawrence Taylor and them trying to move on without those names that are all over here now. It was really a crazy time. We'd still be a good year away from shit exploding, when Hall and Nash would leave. But we were just about a year away from the business changing immensely. About a year away from the curtain call, a year away from all that stuff. Down goes Wahoo. Is Murdoch busted open? His mouth? Putting some stiff shots in here. Yeah, he did take one in the beak. Looks like he's got blood on his chest, too. Didn't know this was going to be a hardcore match. Hopefully, Murdoch will win with a Canadian destroyer. Or maybe Wahoo will nail a shooting star onto Murdoch. That'll probably be the finish. Shooting star from Wahoo onto a Murdoch from the top rope onto the floor on a bed of mousetraps that are on fire. Oh, yeah? First show is on YouTube, huh? I didn't know that. You mean way back when? Like the 2002? Like Shamrock and that stuff? 22 years ago yesterday, the American Badass debuted. I'm going to be doing a live review of Judgment Day 2000 in June. K-Dog's Kennel gave us the idea for that one. He got him. Wow. Nice little finish there. Murdoch kicked out right after the 3. Look at there. Wahoo. Not only did he win, it's an excellent fish. Have you ever had Wahoo? It's really good. All right, let's get rid of the black and white. Sully, great to hear your voice. Warms my heart. As a kid, I didn't get to hear a ton of Sully, a little bit. In the NWA, but when I grew up in the Midwest, I mean, it was only WWF for me and some AWA. So I didn't get any NWA stuff till more like the late 80s when I moved down south. And Sully wasn't the voice of everything as he was prior, by that point. Oh, that's cool. 20th anniversary, June 19th, also a Sunday. That's awesome.
Thank you very much, Gordon Zoli. It looked and sounded like a number of years ago, and I must say, a great treat here at Slamboree.
What a treat. What a treat for the fans. Look at Bubba. Not you, Bubba. Not my Bubba. This Bubba.
Without a doubt, Sting is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world today. But I'm one of the very few men.
There's another example of WCW just literally recreating WWE because he was Big Bubba in the NWA. But when they signed the Big Boss Man from WWE, they brought him in as the boss, as the same gimmick. And they were forced legally to change that. And it took them forever to finally get back to what they should have just brought him back as to begin with, Big Bubba. He had to be the guardian angel for a while, and then Robo Titties 5000, I don't know, whatever else he had to be and do prior to getting to Big Bubba. But he's a good promo, isn't he? He's a very angry and scary good old boy, and he can talk. I loved Ray Traylor. I always thought he was so good. I mean, the Big Boss Man was over in WWE. He was over, but I almost think that gimmick hurt him a little bit because it was a kid's gimmick. It was a cheesy gimmick. He didn't even really come off. I mean, even at first, maybe he came off as a little hard of a correction officer because he was so brutal. They should have kept him like that, like if he just stayed, heel or whatever. But wrestling in that getup and shit like that, I just think that it was a little corny. But that's the way shit was. All right, here we go. This is our big IWGP match, title match. Great Muta. I think he takes on Orndorff, is what I think it said. Which this was very cool stuff, back then. How you would have a lot of guys from Japan coming to WCW back then, just like you're seeing now with AEW. But back then, you didn't hear any fans going, this is only, they're not doing anything to, attract the casual fans. This is only for the hardcores. You didn't hear any of that shit back then because nobody was stupid. Everybody was just happy. Like, this was cool. And for me, it was cool whenever I saw this shit because I know WWE would rarely do this stuff. The USWA stuff they did a little bit of. In 97, they would do a AAA, agreement and stuff. But for the most part, and some Smoky Mountain shit here and there. But overall, to have something like this go down was not something that Vince really did. It was bizarre enough to see Flair bring that big gold belt onto TV. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Pre-internet, you had to make your own conclusions with that stuff, All right, Paul Orndorff. It was kind of cool, too, seeing Orndorff and Hogan back in the same company, and I think they would even work opposite each other at least once or twice. I remember watching like a WCW Saturday Night, like one of the ones in the studio with the spinning ring with literally like 55 people in the audience. I'm pretty sure it was Hogan and Savage versus Pretty Wonderful. And I remember watching like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Like 9 years ago, the two of these guys had feud of the fucking century in 86, which is one of probably my favorite Hogan feud ever, even above Andre. And then here they're together in WCW and they're just kind of going through the motions in this just weak ass match in WCW. And I was embarrassed. I was like, man, these guys used to fucking tear it up. And this looks terrible. I couldn't understand why WCW was doing so much better business-wise than WWE, rehashing all that stuff when everybody's older, slower, less capable, and a lot less motivated since they have so much more money in their pocket now. That's why anytime Eric Bischoff is critical, even if he has somewhat of a point, I'm like, motherfucker, you of all people have got no business pointing fingers or calling out or criticizing AEW for anything, especially when he mentions their poor storytelling and catering to the hardcore fans. I'm like, motherfucker, what do you think you were doing with this right here, with the NWO the next year? He's the biggest critic of things that he was the biggest offender of, and that is just dripping with irony, and I love it. When you get an idea in your head that you don't like something, you will literally say anything, anything, to push that narrative, even if it makes no fucking sense at all. It doesn't matter. You've decided what you're going to hate, and you will be willing to lie, bold-faced lie, in order to never have to admit that maybe they're doing a couple things right. Muta and Orndorff. You can already see here around this time, Orndorff's right arm there, a little atrophied. Look at Nick Patrick getting... So Nick Patrick hadn't turned into douche referee yet. He had that mullet and porn stash going. Look at that hair, man. God, look how quick and in shape Muta is. And even by this point, he was a fucking veteran. But he still had some speed on him by this point. This was yesterday's Okada, you know? Fucking great Muta. Yeah, I guess I should rephrase. WWE actually did have some pretty crazy moments with other companies. ECW, Smoky Mountain, USWA, kind of WCW when they brought in the big gold belt when Flair came in. So I suppose they have had some crazy shit go down, but I don't think Japan was even on WWE's radar at this point in terms of, you know, interest or working with them or maybe even some of the talent there. They were just trying to survive. WCW had room to spread their wings and play around a little bit, and WWE was survival mode, you know. Look at Orndorff. Stop calling the match, Bischoff. You're not Jim Ross. Back in the day, back in the Attitude Era and Monday Night Wars, I always thought Jim Ross was so much better at telling the story and just being an announcer in general than Tony Schiavone was on Nitro. To me, there was no contest at all. And it's funny now, 20-something years later, Schiavone's a lot better than Jim Ross right now. You know, when you listen to the two of them on commentary, Schiavone's still got his shit together. Jim Ross... His commentary's getting rough. Look at Muta. Orndorff's like, what the fuck do I do? I'm not in this era. Steven Seagal. Shut up, Bischoff. If there's one name I'd rather not have mentioned on anywhere near my channel, it's Steven Seagal. Where's Tenay? I don't think Tenay is in there yet. I don't think Tenay is in the company yet. He might have been. But I don't think they were... He was... Because you got to remember, Nitro had not debuted yet. Everything here was still done on Saturday night. So we're still 3-4 months away from Nitro debuting. How crazy is that? This is pre-Nitro. How crazy is that, y'all? I didn't even think about that at the beginning of the show. I would have mentioned that. But yeah, we had not even started Nitro yet. That's why WWE was still doing their canned Raw shows. You know, they just taped 4 of them in a row and just run those for an hour every week. They had no competition. They were pulling good numbers on Monday. And then when WCW started Nitro, forced WWE to change. Took them a while, though. They still went with that taped format for a long time before they finally wised up and started moving away from that. Live TV is expensive. Orndorff, well, he's doing the right thing here, you know. Muta's so fast, he's moving around, and Orndorff doesn't even know where he is. He's looking around like, what the fuck? So, hammerlock to the ground, knee in the back of the neck, keep him still. Well, Mr. Wonderful never changed his tights. It was always the Mr. Number Wonderful. Hashtag wonderful. I think he's the only guy to ever have a hashtag on his tights. That's when I really started hating WCW. Because he got me once. I actually was, I was mildly curious about Nitro when I was watching it. And Bischoff told me what I was going to see on Raw. When I had every intention of switching over to Raw, I just wanted to catch the first few minutes of Nitro, see how it looked or whatever. It was like the third or fourth show. It was like one of the early Nitros. And it was the night that Shawn beat Sid. Yeah, I think it was Shawn versus Sid. So it would have been sometime in September. Yeah, it might have been their second show. And he gave away the results. And it pissed me off. I'm like, what a fucker, man. I mean, part of me was relieved because he goes, Shawn Michaels knocked out the big guy with a super kick. I'm like, good. Sid doesn't win the Intercontinental title. So, I mean, in a way, I guess I was happy, but I was still like, fuck, man. Watching that later, knowing who was going to win sucked. Now, spoilers I don't care about. You can spoil the whole damn show for me. I could care less. But back then, I cared more. Oof. Great Muda, for me, was kind of like this. My knowledge was strictly magazines, except for his American appearances. And then later on, when I was tape trading, I would get a whole bunch of Muda matches and shit. But I would say up until like the early 90s and stuff, it was only whatever he did here in the States. So he was almost like this mythical type of figure. And then when you factor in the face paint, you factor in the green mist, he was Sting. He was Crow Sting-like to me as a kid or as a teenager. But man, I've shown my magazine collection on YouTube before, actually. I have a video of it. But I would go crazy on the magazines back then, get so many of them. And for a lot of wrestlers, that was my first introduction to pretty much everything. Dusty Rhodes, the Road Warriors, all that stuff was magazines first before I physically saw them on TV. Would have been crazy if Orndorff won the title here. Don't think he does. I would have remembered that. But I always liked Orndorff. I'm surprised they didn't try it. I don't know what the real, because personal relationship with Orndorff and Hogan was. Orndorff was there before Hogan came in. So it's not like Hogan helped get him a job or a gig there, but they could have revisited that. WCW was so up the ass of 1980s WWE, and they tried to recreate so much of what they did. Why didn't they go back to Hogan and Orndorff, man? They could draw back to their past. They would do that with Piper when Piper would come in the following year. So, maybe Hogan didn't want to work with Orndorff because he knew if they got on a shoot, Orndorff would whoop his ass. I don't know. But I think they went to like rival high schools. They're both from Florida, so there's kind of like a natural rivalry competition. And Orndorff, I'm sure, had a little bit of jealousy, as a lot of guys did, as to when it came to Hogan and how much money he was making and that sort of thing. A lot of them probably felt they could be in that position too. See, look, you can tell how different Orndorff's arms looks right there compared to his other one. I personally wouldn't have wanted to see Hogan and Orndorff revisit things in WCW because I know it would have sucked compared to what they did in WWE. I'm just saying I'm surprised WCW didn't do it because it seems like exactly something they would do. It might have been Hogan like, yeah, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. Some of those matches, man, were hardcore too, man. They were throwing Idahos at each other, hardcore. In a few of those, a cage match they had, that one in Toronto. A lot of those battles were stiff. Did we catch a young Cody Rhodes at ringside there? I know he's going to be in during the Hall of Fame. I didn't see. He probably is at ringside there. Fucking 95, man. We were just about to get the OJ verdict, I think. Right? A couple months later. A lot of shit was going down in 95. Breaking news. Murder is now legal in California. That's what they led with. That's what Norm Macdonald said on SNL. I'll be right back. Let me get a beer. God, Bischoff. Sniveling little fucker. How I used to hate him so bad. It's funny how he now annoys me again because I made my peace with Bischoff when he came to WWE. I was like, you know what? I got to respect him for that because he was such a little asshole. And he lost, and he owned up to the loss and went and worked for the guy that beat him. And not only went and worked there, did a great job and did everything that he was asked. He was a great GM. I thought he was a great heel GM. He was super easy to hate. He fit the role perfectly. And he was probably better suited at that point to be an on-air character than any sort of creative, any sort of creative position. And every time he was interviewed or he spoke, he always just seemed kind of honest about everything. And I guess I just forgave him. I'm like, Bischoff's cool. He's cool, If he would have stayed bitter and never came and worked for WWE and trashed them in every interview he had, every chance he got, just ripped Vince just because he's angry and bitter and pissed and butthurt that he lost, then I'd probably continue hating him. But he did a great job. He was fun to have on TV. I missed that era. But now he seems all bitter and butthurt again. So now I'm like, fuck off, Bischoff. Monday Night Quill. That's right. Yeah, I was a teenager too in 95, about to turn 18. I was just a couple of months away from leaving the house and moving out on my own and never looked back. Just a few months after I graduated high school, I was gone. Got my own apartment. Where the big boys play with each other. Those were the days. Where the big boys play just meant where all the people that only we can afford play. All the people that made names somewhere else are here now. I mean, that's really what it was. I mean, aside from Sting and Harlem Heat, a couple of others, this place was overrun with the rock and wrestling crew of the 80s. Oh, here he goes. Wow, look at the... Jesus, I was like, Orndorff is so far away, he nailed that. That was a really good moonsault for 95. This is 95. That move right there probably meant nothing to a 20-year-old fan, but that was a crazy move for 95 and super athletic. Right on. That was a better match than I expected. Digging the mood of music. Right, Ray? That was a really good moonsault. I was a little concerned that Orndorff was kind of far away, but he hit it. He did it. Yeah, but the Barbarian throws elbows like that. They just come down with a lot of velocity. I like that. Just jamming out to the music here. Arn Anderson. He's a seasoned veteran. This soundstage bullshit I used to hate as a fan. I know we look back on it fondly now, but when I was a teenager watching WCW, I'm like, what is this bullshit? Where are they? I don't think I even knew they were in Orlando or Universal or whatever. But I'm like, why would they? Like, this crowd looks ridiculous. I was like, at least WWE has like crowds and shit. I just thought the whole thing was weird, especially when these people aren't really wrestling fans. They're just shoveled in there. Here, sit down, applaud when we tell you. Like, in a lot of ways, that's like a human Thunderdome, you know? Look at this shit. Look at Vader. Oh, yeah, I missed the purple. He never wore the purple version in WWE. They had their own made for him. And he's got the black mask instead of the red. Vader is in a match in the review that I'm going to put up this week, Over the Edge, a mask versus mask match versus Kane. And I got something interesting to say about that mask versus mask match. So is Arn Anderson facing Das Wonder Punk tonight? CCDC, you're right. That was my opinion too. I mean, I might criticize a lot of fans for their idiotic tribalism, but I had a lot of that in me too when I was young. I can't lie, especially as a teenager. You know, I was on the side of WWE. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy WCW, though, from time to time, but I was not on their side. And I thought what they were doing was kind of pathetic, and I didn't understand why their ratings were so high and they were doing such good business. I'm like, aren't fans sick of Hogan and Savage? And I was ready. I wanted Brett. Vader was literally 20 times better in WCW than he was in WWE. He's in this match and Over the Edge, the review I'm going to do this week, right? So I'm just going to let you on a little part of the review that I'm going to talk about. It's a mask versus mask match, Vader and Kane. Vader unmasked his very first night in the company when he debuted in the Royal Rumble. Took the mask right off. Very first night he unmasked. Fans know what he looks like without the mask. And when he unmasked that night in the Royal Rumble, it happened to be a match that Kane was also in as Isaac Yankem, also unmasked. So we know these guys and have seen them unmasked in extreme recent history. And they're making it like, oh, wow, what's going to happen if Vader loses his mask? We're going to find out what he looks like. I'm like, we already know. I thought that was funny. And then Paul Bearer puts the mask on and dances around with it. Imagine putting on Vader's mask after he wrestles a match. Terry Funk is talking about how honored he is to be going into the Hall of Fame tonight. I'm ready to see this Hall of Fame ceremony. I've seen it before, but probably only once or twice when I've like looked it up or watched it. I know I have this show in my DVD archives. I have all the WCW pay-per-views in my personal collection. But how many times I've actually pulled this shit up and watched it, I don't think many at all. Yeah, Victor's right. Vader takes his mask off all the time. I always thought that was weird, but I'd kind of forgotten about that match. And then after the match, Vader calls himself, I'm a fat piece of shit. And they're trying, I guess that was going to try to be like a rejuvenation for him. But it never panned out, and he was gone from the company shortly after that, I think. Yeah, pretty big class here in the WCW Hall of Fame. I don't know. What other years, James, are you still here? What other years did they do the Hall of Fame in WCW? To me, it feels like it was just their way of trying to take names away from WWE, perhaps. Hey, let's start our own Hall of Fame, put a bunch of people in it. That way, if WWE, as they're going to continue their banquets, they can't, they might not use these people. I don't know. I mean, they put Stud in, WWE could have put him in if they wanted to. Here comes the enforcer. But years following this, I don't recall any WCW Hall of Fame ceremonies. I'm assuming the WWE Legacy Angelo Poffo in. They have to have put him in, right? Maybe when Randy went in, they put in Angelo Poffo too, maybe. I forgot how that went down. So he's probably in the WWE Hall of Fame along with everybody else that was honored in this thing, I'm sure. Dusty, Gordon, Terry. All right, Das Wunderpunk and the Enforcer. Slap this kid around. This kid was super young. Was he 19? I think he holds a victory over Triple H, too, at the Starrcade the year before. Yeah, I thought Vader was going to be a big deal in WWE. I was happy they signed him. They needed people bad. And it wasn't, they weren't going the other way. Just kind of how we see now, like everybody's flooding into AEW. But, once a few more years go by, you're going to see it a little more balanced out in terms of talent going back and forth. So that hadn't happened yet. So finally in 96, it was nice to see WWE start to get a few guys from the other side. And Vader was one of the early ones that was able to come over. And then like the next year, Jeff Jarrett came back in. So little ones, just little tastes until the floodgates opened. And then it was Paul White, and then it was Jericho, and then it was the Radicals, and then everybody, but it goes through like really volatile fluctuations. And WCW was the company that you were seeing all the new faces in at the time. Being able to get talent internationally, finding this kid at 19 years old from Germany. Yeah, I feel like, they brought Vader in, too, to kind of fill the void of Yoko. They needed another monster. Yoko had lost the title, gained a ton of weight. He was babyface by the time they got to all this. Vader coming in, and so I think they were going to use Yoko to help put him over. But Vader needed surgery, so they did the angle with Monsoon where they had to suspend him so he could do that. So, he kind of got off to a good start, but then had to stop for a bit before finally, I think, wrestling at WrestleMania. And then they shoved him right into the deal with Shawn almost immediately. But because of the SummerSlam match or whatever, Shawn got pissed. Used his Hogan-like stroke to get things changed and did the rest of the program with Sid and finished off with him. But it would have been interesting to see that play out with Vader at the Garden, right? I like the Sid stuff. Sid got a great reaction that night. I don't really know if I want to change that moment, but I think the crowd would have reacted similar to Vader. I do. And that would have been a great moment for Vader to win the title in Madison Square Garden. Imagine having that taken away from you. That would have solidified his legacy a little bit more, to have a win like that. Even if he did go on to drop the belt to Shawn right after that. What if he did everything Sid did? What if he then dropped the belt to Shawn at the Rumble in 97, but then beat Brett after Final Four, after Shawn lost a smile? Then instead of Sid beating Brett, Vader would beat Brett. And then Vader would go to WrestleMania to face The Undertaker. I don't think the match would have been any worse or better than his match with Sid. Maybe they could have even done a big spot. Maybe some table. Maybe Vader could have moonsaulted through the table or something. I don't know. Some fucking crazy spot. Might have been fun. Nobody strokes harder than the Hulkster. That's true. Alex Wright, man, he was super athletic. I feel like Alex Wright kind of has a modern-ish haircut, sort of. Everybody shaves their shit on the sides and stuff, right? That's what they all do. They still do that. I feel like he fits in more than anybody else. These referees and these mullets, man, my God. I like how Arn Anderson is a lot like R-Truth. They just don't change. They just look how they look, and they don't ever look any different. It's just who they are. They're like aliens. '86 Starrcade, is that the scaffold bump with the knees and everything? Ugh, gives me the heebie-jeebies. I think the only time I've watched it without looking away was like the first time I watched it. I'm like, oh, that sucks. Anytime I see that clip or it happens to come across my sight, I always just turn away. I can't look at his knees hitting. Get down there, Arn. Arn's like, fuck this kid. Are y'all watching Peacock like on a PC, or you've got it on a tablet? If you're on a PC, what's up with this volume being at the upper right of the screen? That's annoying. I like when he got repackaged as Berlin. I thought it was a good change for him, because that dancing shit wasn't going to be getting over in '99. And I like that he was all like pale. I just remember him being like really like fair skin at that time while having a shaved head. He looked a little bit scary. Yeah, and plus Berlin, he's a guy that does have a lot of history in WCW, and he was their Drew McIntyre. He was the chosen one. It really did feel like they were going to push him hard. But not sure how they were going to how much they were really going to put that kid over with all the other big names there and all their political bullshit. So doing the Berlin thing 4 years later, he was probably ready by that point to get a little bit of a run. He already been through a lot. Glacier, man, for all the fun we made of Veer, that's nothing compared to Glacier. I remember the very first vignette I saw for that. I was like, as a fan, like a WWE stan, I was worried. I was like, oh, fuck, what is this? This is going to be huge. This is something really big. You can tell, and then they just kept running and running and running and running. And Glacier never debuted. And then finally when he did, you were like, pfft. Come on. I mean, they had the smallest ever possible window to get a stupid gimmick like that over. And that was around the time that the vignettes started. You still had some hokiness in WWE, but by the time you actually debut that, I'm like, man, wrestling's starting to already take a different tone. Go Alex. He blocked it. Nice. Come on, Arn. I don't know who wins this match, but I hope Arn does. Nice spine buster. Arn, it just looks like everybody's Uncle Carl or something. Like he's hilarious. Was it supposed to be a takeoff of like Mortal Kombat? Is that what they were going for? Because then that Mortis or Canyon would be there and they would do shit together. Yeah, Sub-Zero. I had Mortal Kombat. I still do. I had Mortal Kombat on Sega Genesis. but that's as far as it went for me. Never had Mortal Kombat 2 or 3 or played it on any other console other than that one game on that one console. So by the time we got to this point, I was already done with games. So I didn't give a shit about Glacier or Mortis. Not that WWE's shit was any better around that time. Salvatore Sincere. I don't even remember. Glacier, I think, turned heel, but I don't know. I barely paid any attention to his shit at all. I didn't give two fucks about him or Mortis or any of that stuff. I was much more interested in Arn. And his this is television championship. Is that what we got going on here? It's not U.S., right? It's TV. Yeah, television championship. Nice spinning heel. Nice type of suplex with a bridge. He's doing stuff. Wow. Big missile drop kick. Wow, he almost had him. Look at Arn. Giving this kid a lot. There we go. Inside cradle. Nope. Oh, I thought they actually might do the finish there. Duke the Dumpster Droese, my God. Triple H has lost to some fucked up people, man. I know Duke the Dumpster Droese beat him, and I know Alex Wright beat him. Who else beat Triple H? He got owned by the Warrior in like seconds at WrestleMania. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Alex Wright, are we sure he's not dead? What a DDT. Oh, that was fabulous. That's your veteran beating your rookie. Please replay that DDT. I can't tell if it was just really well executed by Arn or really well sold by Alex Wright, or both. But that was awesome. Jesus Christ. Big spiny. God, that ring, man. Yeah, that slingshot on the ropes move. Oh, it looked weirder from that angle. I like the hard cam angle best. It was still a good looking DDT. Fucking great. See, I miss the simple things. I miss a straight up match for the TV title with a fucking DDT finish. Why can't we get more of that? It's like a Bischoff selling it. Just chill out. Chill out, Sparky. Yeah, Arn's coming back, I guess.
He heard Vader talking. He heard Flair talking. And over 15 security guards have just grabbed Hogan, Savage, and the Renegade. They were throwing out the window of their dressing room, trying to get out in the parking lot, trying to get to their limousine so they could get out of town.
Yeah, Wrath was really good in WCW. He went on that winning streak, and I think like Nash ended it naturally. But yeah, he was he had gotten such good shape by that point. He was awesome. Way better than Adam Bomb. This is Road Warrior Hawk and Ming. This is the match we're getting? Jesus. Like I said, I want to see, this wouldn't be a bad shoot. Put these guys in the Brawl for All 3 years later. Ming and Road Warrior Hawk. Ming. I remember seeing Ming on WCW for the first time. Like knowing that Haku was not really being featured that much in WWE. And then just one night on, I think it was Saturday night, I was just watching and he was like in a managerial capacity or on the outside of the ring. And I'm like, oh, look at there. There's Haku. He's turned up. I don't think that was his actual debut. It was just the first time I saw him there. I'm like, oh, look at there. That was kind of fun back then because you never knew, you know, when you watched who was going to turn up. Guys were coming in all the time, especially at this point when Hogan got there. Yeah, WCW and WWE have both used this production music before, and I know this was Road Warriors theme in WCW. They used this music, I think, in the video package for WrestleMania 10 at the very end before you got to Bret Hart and Yokozuna, and they did like a recap of both guys or something. I think this was the music they used for Yoko, and they used it for like 3 other things too. Real bar fight, Ming versus Brock. Brock. I mean, maybe in a bar, Ming's got a chance, grab a fucking mug and break it over Brock. You got weapons. So Ming has a chance in a bar. Take it out in the parking lot. It's over in 5 seconds. I'm pretty sure the Road Warriors or LOD worked with Barbarian and Haku in WWE. I'm sure they did. But I'd like to see a prime Road Warriors versus like a prime Islanders, man. Like Haku and Tama. They were a great team. They should have been champs. And they were athletic as hell, and Haku's tough. It would have been a fun match when Hawk and Animal were at their physical peak as well. Like, they're way past shit now, but you try to get that match done in 1988? Hell yeah. Or 87? Wow, pile driver? Are y'all sure? Jesus Christ. Oh, no, sold it. Popped right up. Neck breaker. Damn, they are laying it in here. I wonder if these guys got along. I'm sure they did. I don't think anybody would go out of their way to make enemies with Haku. Michael, you might be right about Freddie Joe Floyd. He might have beaten Triple H. Maybe when Triple H was getting punished. I know Jake Roberts beat him. Pretty sure Jake Roberts DDT'd and pinned Triple H, and maybe even like a King of the Ring qualifier or something. He was jobbing to everybody. The jobbing didn't even last that long. Shit, he was champion by October. He was Intercontinental Champion, so... What, he had to do one loop of jobs? Like, who cares? It makes it sound like it was like the worst punishment ever. And then WWE always tries to retell it and make it seem like the hog pen match and the Ultimate Warrior match were part of the punishment when they happened before the curtain call. WWE and their rewriting of history. Yeah, the hog pen match was crazy, too, because Triple H got, like, cut open on his back, and he's, like, wrestling around and shit. I'm like, is that sanitary? But if you're ever bored and you got, like, nothing else to do, put on Bret Hart and British Bulldog from that show. From In Your House. It's so good. I don't want to think about guys I love fighting each other. Prime, Shamrock, and plus I don't even like UFC, so I'm not like the right guy to like analyze a real fight. But here's my take on it. In a bar fight, I think Prime Shamrock would beat Prime Kurt Angle in a bar fight. If they want to have a takedown tournament in the parking lot, then and you score it, and you have a scorecard and a referee, then Kurt Angle wins. I guess it would be a good subject for a YouTube video or a discussion or something or a debate. Like, who would win between, in that very scenario? Like, prime Ken Shamrock and prime Haku in a bar fight. Oof. Oh, Hawk with a big sell down the stairs. I love Ming staying true to the bare feet. They're not going to do a count out here, are they? We're not going to sit through this shit for a count out. They did. Double fucking count out. Watch out. Braun Strowman's over there. Who are these guys? Who we got? Who's there? Okay. I recognize Dillinger. I don't know who he is. Is that Scott Casey? No, it's not Scott Casey. Oh, that might be Tanaka. That's Pat Tanaka. And who's this Mellick guy? Who's that? How do I not know who these guys are? Oh, no, that's not Tanaka. I don't know who anybody is. Oh, my God. I love this pull apart. Dillinger getting roughed up. You got some security out there, man. Just chill. Oh, there's Phineas. Recognize him. So many mullets, so little time. Is that Eric Watts? I didn't think that was him. I guess it was the hair that got me. I thought that might have been him, but I'm like, no, I even thought it might have been like, that's not him. Okay, so I guess Eric Watts was out there too. Is it just the main event left, or do we have the Hall of Fame and then another match?
WCW Hall of Fame, and this one of the great things about Slamboree, it's a very special moment, not only for the athletes, but their family and their friends.
Ricky Santana, that's who the long, dark-haired mullet is. Yeah, you're right. Bobby Heenan wants to know why he's not inducted. I know, right? Horseshit.
Look at it this way. If I were to see you being inducted into the Hall of Fame, who would sit with me here? Who would do the broadcast? I can do both. I can do it all.
I can do it all.
Anyway. Time now to go to Gordon Soley with the inductions.
All right, this should be good.
Hall of Fame.
I'm excited to see this. I don't know if I've ever really sat down and watched this more than once.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Slamboree 95.
Thank you, Gordon. He still looks great here. Doesn't even look old.
As you know, of course, during each Slamboree,
Looks like he's got his shit together.
induct wrestlers into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah, Sting and Big Bubba. That's right.
We have 6 inductions to take place.
Yeah, Victor, back in the day, you can get away with anything on pay-per-view. You can do double countouts because nobody thought that way. Woo, what a ripoff. And it was just what you could do. But nowadays, yeah, you would think, save that shit for TV. But like we said, this was before Nitro even started.
College at the University of Oklahoma. He lettered in wrestling and in football. Then he played 10 years in pro football with such teams as
Such a primitive
Cowboys,
induction.
New York Jets, and
I
finally
felt like WCW was doing this just to do it. And what did you tell me earlier? We Are Pro Wrestling. They did it like 3 years in a row.
this gentleman, he had just signed his contract with the
was wrestling in Jacksonville. They threw him out of the ring. He hit in the second row. He bruised both kidneys. He also had a compound fracture on one finger. Miami coach told him when he reported from training camp, he said, next time you take a month off of wrestling before you come to camp, we can't afford to have you beat up.
Look at this.
He
WCW trying to do a Hall of Fame.
AWA World Tag Team title. He was co-holder of the NWA.
What if they would have won the war? I wonder what their, and
7 times
Vince went out of business. I wonder what their Hall of Fame would have looked like. I wonder if Sonny would be in it.
as the king of the Indian strap match. He's big, he's tough, he's an avid fisherman, a world-class bass master.
93, 94, 95. Okay.
With the best of them, and we saw that just
I have to look back at the other years. I kind of forget who they put in.
pleasure to present Mr. Wahoo McDaniel, a World Championship Wrestling Hall of Fame.
It's nice not to have Lawler out there telling jokes. 45-minute long video package. Look at that thing.
I'd like to thank the people
It's a fucking dildo.
But most of all, I would like to thank the fans that stood by me and remember all those hard, grueling matches that I had with Johnny Valentine, Harley Race,
The Battle Bowl tournament in 96. I might have bought that pay-per-view. I think I ordered that one.
Ric Flair. And I want to thank all you fans that stood behind me and took time to remember all those hard matches. And thank you for putting me here. Thank you.
No problem, man. You did a good job on that speech. He kept that shit short and sweet.
On June 30th, 1944, Adam Funk of the Hammond, Indiana Police Department gazed down on his newest grandchild with great
Saying I have no idea why that was the first thing that came to my mind.
family,
Don't ask me.
a wrestling dynasty.
Oh, cool. Luthez, Gagner, and Eddie. Oh, yeah. I remember that now. I remember the Vern
Canyon High School,
part.
went to West Texas State on a football scholarship. They didn't have wrestling there at that time.
Terry Funk.
He learned to wrestle under the tutelage of his father, Dory.
How many Hall of Fames is he in?
Such other greats as Pat O'Connor and Lou Thez. He turned pro in 1965, and in just 10 years later defeated Jack Briscoe in Miami, Florida for the World Heavyweight Championship. I was there. It's one of the prettiest inside cradles I've ever seen in my entire life.
I'm not sure when Gagner came and went in WCW. I want to say it was like a year or two before this, but I don't remember.
This man is still extremely active
He might be there now.
in professional wrestling, both here and in Japan.
Gagner working with Hogan, though. I don't know. Ugh, I don't know. He might have been gone by then.
Television features, such movies as Rocky V, Rambo 3, Over the Top, Paradise Alley, and a host of others. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a real welcome to our next member of the Hall of Fame, Terry Funk.
Terry Funk. So is Dusty like the closer here? Is that what they're doing?
And by the way, the Japanese press is here to cover this tonight too, because Terry is a very, very active competitor in Japan. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Gordon.
Look how good Funk looks.
Dadgummit, I
Looks
think
young
this is
and
great.
ready for action.
Hi, Mom. You know, I always wanted to do that. I see people do that continually. I'd also like to go ahead and say, God bless you, Dory Funk Sr., my father, for giving me the body and the soul to be a professional wrestler. I would also like to thank my brother, Dory Funk Jr., for being at my side throughout my entire wrestling career. I would also like to thank the three ladies of my life. I'm talking about
This is great.
Ricky, Brandy, and Stacy.
He almost couldn't remember. Ricky, Brandy, and Stacy.
Wrestling 30
That's the best.
years ago, in 1965, I probably
so weird how random and just completely unofficial all of this is, you know? Yeah, it's Hall of Fame, yeah.
Thank you for supporting wrestling. God bless the sport, too.
The next inductee tonight,
So he looks frustrated. He's pretty stoic back there, just chilling.
his past preceded him when he came to Florida to wrestle, not only in his wrestling skills, but in his absolute back-breaking training regimen. This man is still listed in Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Oh, this is definitely Angelo Poffo.
Because believe it or not, he performed 6,033 consecutive sit-ups in 4 hours and 10 minutes. Nobody has ever beaten that record.
When I was watching Over the Edge 98 the other night,
He battled all over
Draws was out there,
finally defeated
and
Wilbur Snyder and won the U.S.
Jim Ross is just putting over the, he throws up on a football, right? And just, and you know what else? He's an answer to a Trivial Pursuit question. And I remember that. And I'm like, oh yeah, they used to beat that into the ground. They used to constantly say that. How desperate they were for any sort of crumb of publicity in the mainstream was so hilarious back then. Made such a big deal. Now they wouldn't even give a fuck. Although Natalia is in the Guinness Book of World Records. Here comes Angelo. He does look like Randy Savage. He does. They do resemble each other.
Tonight, my cup would really profusely run over if the Monster Maniacs emerge victorious.
He just used his Hall of Fame speech to put over the Monster Maniacs. Good job.
I know many of you echo that sentiment.
So he's like, fuck my life.
This inductee is a man who really shines like a diamond with many facets. No matter what side of him you examine, his life reflects brilliance. Not only as a wrestler,
This must be the one where this happens, where Poffo gets, because he's here.
for his country. His wrestling career has spanned decades. He has met and defeated the very best in the sport. In June of 1976, he faced Muhammad Ali in that celebrated boxer versus wrestler match. And although that
I
match,
just felt like a lot of this was
I might point out,
attempts to out-legitimize the WWE. Because it's competition, they're trying to make themselves feel like a bigger deal. WWE had done a couple Hall of Fames, and so had they.
he wrestled in North Korea.
And it felt like at this point they were kind of in the lead a little bit, But WWE's felt a little bit more official.
Wrestling match.
And I felt confident that WWE's, production and their team would
1,000 people were there.
keep it as sacred as possible. Where I felt like nothing felt quite official here.
He was urged by his countrymen to run for the House of Councilors National Diet, which is very similar to our United States Senate. He has become a stalwart of international relationships, steadily building bridges between his country and all other countries of the world.
That is crazy how many fucking people were at that thing.
He's been a superb wrestler. He'll be leaving
It's insane.
this area on Monday to fly to the United Nations in New York on Tuesday. It is then a pleasure,
Yeah, Sully might just be
to present
old,
for induction into the
Like you said, his health was failing, starting to. He'd die 4 years later.
Antonio Inoki.
Antonio Inoki. How good he looks. Handsome devil.
As Senator Antonio Inoki's interpreter, allow me to deliver a few words on his behalf. It is a great honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I'm very proud that I have been found worthy, but I also feel very humble as I join so many.
Sully wants to tell Inoki to move over.
One reason for induction
There we go. Hey, good job on the cameras. They moved it over.
dialogues among peoples of the world to contribute to better understanding and goodwill among nations. I will continue these efforts so that together we can all contribute to making our world a better
Yeah, it had more of a professional vibe, and WWE's Hall of Fame did.
for this great honor.
But it's funny, you know, this feels phoned in, but it's kind of how WWE does shit now. They phone in everything. Everything that's supposed to mean anything, they just phone it the fuck in. Hall of Fame is a joke now.
Our next award is a posthumous award. I'll never
Oh, yeah, this must be Big John Studd.
met for the first time Big John Studd. It was in the office of the Sportatorium in Tampa, and I walked in and saw this gentleman, all 6 feet 10 of him, 365 pounds, but I found that he had just that much friendship in his heart. In the ring, he was an awesome competitor. And of course, the feuds that went on between him and Andre the Giant are
I think Big John Studd, help me out, I think he went in. Did he go in the 2004 class?
that lived the last 18 years in Northern Virginia.
Or it might have been after that. I think his son put him in.
Also, in addition to wrestling, movies, television, he was very active in charitable events as well. Work including the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Just Say No
That's a
to
cool
Drugs,
picture of him with the
Special
horns.
and many, many more.
I've never really seen any candids of Big John Studd. I've only seen in the ring. Wow, that one really right there looks like the nodding Robert Redford meme.
Throughout the United States.
Wow, that's crazy to me.
Also appeared in several movies and TV features. But unfortunately, Big John Minton lost his life to cancer on March 20th of this year.
Oh, he just passed away.
His brother Jim and Joe Minton have accompanied Big John's son Robert to be with us tonight to receive this award. And before I bring Robert out, I would like to read the closing paragraph of a poem that was written by Big John's niece for his funeral.
Oh, Lord.
The final paragraph reads, and I think it sums it up much better than I ever could. He was a wonderful husband, father, son, and friend. No one could ask more than that from any man, and I fully believe that no one could have given more of himself than he did.
This is interesting. They're putting this in the middle of a pay-per-view.
Robert Minton, Big John Studd's son.
Good job, Gordon. Look at this kid. Yeah, he would grow up. I think he would do a pretty good job right in 2004. Didn't he have something to do with this? I remember just being impressed by him, unless I'm misremembering. Which I tend to do.
My family, we thank you for inducting my father into the Wrestling Hall of Fame. My father would have been very proud to receive this. He was a wonderful man and devoted his life to his family and
Poor kid. It's like a month later.
we know he will
2 months
be
later.
remembered by all, and we appreciated his recognition. Thank you.
Delivered exactly the way a kid that age would deliver it. If I'm 13 or 14 or whatever he is, I'm just looking straight ahead, blah, 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 getting my ass out of there.
Induction tonight, you might have
Good
noticed
job, kid.
pages. Well, didn't have to flip any for this one. This young fellow, when he was 8 years old,
Julio Guzman, thank you very much, man. Appreciate the 5. Sully's voice could class up any show or ceremony. Yep.
dug ditches with a fellow by the name of T.C. Lee.
I wish he was still young and you could rent him to do your wedding or do something like that. Rent a Sully.
There is and
Call us today.
an American dream.
If you rent 4 Solis, you get the 5th Soli free.
Dusty Rhodes went on to West Texas State
Everybody's got to stand there with their bouquets. It sucks.
and in football. Upon leaving West Texas State, he tried his hand at professional football, but the regiment
I love the hat wearing Dusty. That was one of my favorite version of Dusty.
that capability of speaking out on his own, being on his own, being his own boss. And that's what he turned out to be, his own boss. This man probably has more charisma in his little finger than most of us possess in our entire bodies. He originally started
I mean, how charismatic can a finger be?
along with Dick Murdoch. Then he became Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. It was the late Professor Knocky Parker at the University of South Florida, who started a course, the university course at the University of South Florida called
Dusty ain't going to be rocking the polka dots in WCW. That would be crazy.
Was a guest lecturer on many occasions at those classes. 3 times he achieved the pinnacle of success in becoming the world heavyweight champion. He, to me, absolutely embodies the American spirit. I could go on for the rest of the
Pretty
night
sure Gordon Soley...
to bring out our final inductee tonight, the American Dream.
I think Gordon Soley was on the call or called the match when Dusty turned face that basically started the whole thing. Look at him. Dusty. Look at Cody. And that's the daughter, I forget her name. Look at what kind of shirt is he wearing? It's the best. Look at Cody. Here you go, boy. Hold this here trophy. Cody's like, I got it, Paul. Does he have a rat tail? Tell me he has a rat tail. I didn't know he had. Oh, that's the best. Cody, stand still. Jesus. Fuck, Cody.
My 2 children, Teal and Cody, Chris
Teal, that's right.
and the natural Dustin Rhodes, were standing behind me.
He mentioned Dustin.
My new grandbaby, Dakota. Papa says hello.
See, Dakota.
My mom, my stepdad, Mike in Houston, and my dad who's up there right now with Eddie Graham. I want to thank all of them, and most of all, I want to thank the fans, but because without the fans, this sport does not exist.
True that, Dusty. You made all this worth it. We get to see Dusty and little ass Cody.
I thank the most important person in my life, Michelle, my wife,
Michelle. Everybody loves Michelle
choice to chance the Rapids.
because he's fucking nuts. And everybody says that Michelle's just a perfect anchor for him.
And in closing, if
Yeah, totally. You want me to get a rat tail?
here with me have brought me through the years,
I'm not sure what level super chat that would require, but it would be substantial for me to attempt to grow that.
new generation that is here now,
5 figures.
great talented WCW. Boys, you better put them on tight and lace them up if you're going to follow in these gentlemen's footsteps right here. God bless you. I love you. Thank you.
Right on. Cody, don't drop that. I'm telling you, Cody, that little fucker, man.
Oh, I almost forgot.
Standing out there all weird.
There's one other.
And Seth should come from behind and stomp him.
When I came to Tampa, Florida,
Gene's coming out to get the hook.
meet the man that is the greatest announcer in the history of sports.
Oh, good. Phew. Look at Mean Gene, Gordon Soley. Crazy.
And I said, Gordon Soley, I'm going to make you famous. And about that time, Muhammad Ali and Catch
You got to chill, Dusty. It's time.
and they were going all over the
They are freaking out or something. Look at them.
Soley stayed steady to the task. Gordon Soley was the man that always called.
Dusty's trying to put over Gordon, but he's like running super long. You can tell. Everybody's fidgety. So-
Never gonna be, never will be an announcer like Gordon Soley. Gordon Soley is a heart.
They're going to have to play the music or something. Okay. Phew. So they're doing Soley as well. And then they're just going to go right into his induction. That's kind of cool. Look at that picture.
All other announcers are walk behind us when Gordon Soley is concerned. It is great pride and great privilege that WCW makes his newest member to the Hall of Fame. And
That's awesome. Look at that picture.
the Dean himself, the man, Gordon Soley. Let's get funky like a boogie man.
Hell, if you want to streamline the WWE Hall of Fame, that's what you do. You induct someone, and then when their speech is done, they just induct the next person, and then they come. It's like a gauntlet. It's like a Hall of Fame gauntlet match. And now Gordon will induct the next person, and just so on and so on. Just do that all night.
Well, this is a dream come true, really.
What are they? Did they surprise him with this shit or something? I thought that.
Hall of Fame is something that I really never felt would
Feels like they didn't tell him or something.
its board of directors, to everybody concerned. But, you know, and I look out there tonight and you see
See, I thought Gordon went into this. I said at the beginning that he went in. I always remembered him going in. But then when he was hosting it, I'm like, oh, I must have that mixed up with a different year. Maybe he went in the year before or something. But I guess they...
wrestling fans in the world. And I do thank you.
Look at Cody. Don't drop that, you little motherfucker. Your little American flag shirt. You little... He looks... What a little nightmare. Little nightmare.
I thank you very, very much.
What if you had like a little tiny tattoo? That would be great. He's like, no, man, I still got to be Stardust first.
Don't we? All right, let's go to Gene Oakland. Again, thank you so very much.
Cody, watch your ass back there. Don't fall or nothing.
And by the way, Gordon Soley, I want to add my congratulations. What an honor. Now 7 men, 7 more. WCW Hall of Fame. Now, Sting, come on in.
Sting, come on in.
Fight for your life, many say.
1995 Sting is still pretty awesome Sting.
Be a repeat of Uncensored. No chance for a repeat. Just like Uncensored, Big Bubba. It's going to be a totally different.
I really loved Sting pre-Hogan. Like pre-Hogan Sting in WCW was so awesome. Now I just felt bad for him. He's even though he's going to have his moments, Hogan came in and took over his company, and that sucks. But to WCW's credit, at least they did keep Sting a top star, and they didn't bury him and all that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest, a special lights out match. It is set for one fall.
Yeah, how many have we seen anybody on this show that's active? I guess Sting is going to be one of those guys.
37 pounds, Big Bubba Rogers.
I don't think anybody else that we've seen so far still wrestles.
This is the one that Sting has been waiting for. A lot of bad blood. I know it's been said before, but it really is true between Sting and Big Bubba.
Yeah, we're getting near the end. About another year and a little more than a year left of this Sting.
Was a special referee. And it's been getting hotter.
Cody. Cody is active. There you go.
Well, you know, he was just tired of being a stupid.
I mean, shit, I think that might be the only one is Sting. I think everybody else is either deceased or way too old. Another reason why I preferred WWE over WCW around this time is I always thought, along with their production, WWE's theme music was so much better. I mean, this Sting song has a nostalgic catchiness for me, but it's a terrible theme. He's a man called Sting. It's such a WCW sounding theme, too. Regal, sort of, yeah. I guess he's on TV at least. Regal and Sting. But, I mean, hell, Regal only made an appearance here. What are the other matches we've even seen? Yeah, Arn and Alex Wright. And look at Bubba.
WCW Slamboree 95. Coming your way, capacity crowd out here, and this is what they've all been looking forward to.
Trying to think when Ray Traylor got to WCW. He would have gotten there sometime in 93. I remember early 93, him being phased out of WWE. So somewhere in 93, I guess he would have turned up as the boss. And then became a guardian, the guardian angel. I'm like, just make him Big Bubba.
They're preparing right now as we speak to face Vader and Flair. Tag team action coming your way. The Renegade will be in Hogan's corner.
Oh, yeah, the Renegade. I remember when they debuted him. Those cheeky fuckers, man. Imagine if somebody tried that shit now. I could see WWE doing it, but man, imagine AEW doing some sort of vignette with like Danielson and Punk, and then in the background there's like fog, and you see the silhouette of Brock Lesnar. And then when it's time for the pay-per-view, you get Pork Boner, and he comes out, and it's just like a knockoff. Like, wouldn't that piss you off? I mean, you could say, man, imagine if you could get Brock Lesnar into AEW. You could almost do like an NWO angle, but with two guys that already exist there. And you could have Danielson and Punk kind of come together and reveal that they decided to come in with their previous WWE knowledge and take this place over and be able to find its weaknesses and know exactly how to attack it and how to make it their own company. They just need that one missing piece, and then you bring in Brock Lesnar and his Punk, Danielson, and Lesnar, and they just tear through everybody. That would be fun. Maybe Moxley joins in. Yeah, I was in on it too. That could be fun. We'll never see that. Look at Sting. Look how quick Sting is. It amazes me how them Blade Runners went their separate ways and how much better Sting was. Imagine if Warrior and Sting were reversed. I think it's like the Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders theory. Like, imagine switching those two running backs. You know, how good would have Emmitt Smith really have been if he would have had to play in fucking Detroit, where Barry Sanders, who was able to overcome, you know, the shitty line he had to deal with. Imagine putting him in Dallas. He'd be scoring fucking 3 touchdowns a quarter. Same thing with this stuff. Like, if you put Sting in WWE, Warrior was pretty damn charismatic, though. But I think Sting could nearly match him in that energy. But you get the bonus of him being so much better in the ring. I think it would have been a great trade. I think Warrior and Hogan did a good job at WrestleMania 6, but I think Sting and Hogan could have done better. That would have been a really cool what if to see. Hellwig in WCW and Sting in WWE. Would WWE have kept his name as Sting? Would they have been worried that, well, there's already a Stinger Sting. We don't want to fuck with that, so let's just change him to Barry Johnson or something. I don't know. They would probably give him a corny-ass Ultimate Warrior-ish type of name. This is the Silver Warrior, you know, like the Silver Surfer. Like the Silver Warrior or the Screaming Warrior. Oh, yeah, especially if Cena showed up in AEW. See, none of this shit will ever happen. But you bring Cena in. And luckily for WWE, you know, Cena and Lesnar are really the only guys around that technically AEW could steal that would be like game changers, business changers type of gets. But they're the only ones, you know. You can't, even if Roman were to somehow make the jump, WWE's got his shit fixed because he's Roman Reigns. Where Lesnar and Cena can still be Lesnar and Cena. And be virtually the same type of person, the same type of shit. Cena might even own the rights to his song. I don't know. Probably not, but he might. Poor Bubba. Damn, right on the table. That's a rough-looking table, too. Oh. Is there a... okay, it's a lights out match. Okay, it's like there's a stip here, right? Because they are using tables. Rainbow Warrior. Oh, powder in the face. Oh, through the table. Oh. Well, the table didn't even break. The Rainbow Warrior sounds a lot like the Dingo Warrior. You could have them together and they could be the Rainbow Dingoes. Vince would probably be in bed thinking about this shit. Oh, yeah, the Rainbow Dingoes. Yeah. It's great shit. Bruce. Call wardrobe. Tell them to make Dingo Warrior outfits. Or call, I guess he had to develop it first. Poor Ray Traylor spent his entire career, no matter what he was doing, what company he was in, he was wrestling fully clothed all the time. Wrestling in dress slacks, I just cannot imagine. Yeah, I've seen that match, Ronnie Garvin and Big Bubba from '86. Those matches back in those days, especially '86, just had that gritty vibe to them. They weren't as bright and polished as WWE, which made all that shit feel so much more real. When you're seeing a dude just drenched in sweat and blood in a dimly lit environment, it feels fucking real. You put sparkles all over it, then it's different, you know? Oh, yeah, Austin's names were ridiculous. Butt fart McFrost tits or whatever. Like, it's crazy what they would come up with for him. To be totally honest, I didn't even think Stone Cold Steve Austin was that great of a name. I thought it was kind of simple. Kind of had that one wrong. Wow, look at the height Sting got on that splash. Nick Patrick and his shitty counts. We were talking about Nick Patrick at the last watch-along that we did, that I hate his counts.
Right hand now, Stinger trying to soften up Bubba. Bubba with a thumb to the eyes. Stinger still squinting in that one eye. That powder caught him, or that Dustin. He's having a hard time seeing. Irish whip into the corner.
Oof.
Bubba goes down. Now, not quite.
Bubba's such a good seller, too. Yeah, some guys can just make shit work. I thought The Undertaker was a stupid gimmick. I'm like, well, this is fucking dumb. But then after he got rolling for a few weeks, I was like, oh, he really is a super scary dude. And then on Saturday night's main event, I was officially scared of him. When he came out of the casket for the first time, I'm like, oh, God, yeah, this will work. Scorpion Deathlock. He's got it on Bubba. That should be it. He's submitting. See, where are they pointing to? WCW referees, when they ring the bell, either they most of the time point right at the hard cam. Is that where the timekeeper is sitting? Like, aren't they usually at the outside of the ring? Aren't you usually supposed to point to the timekeeper and say ring the bell? Instead, you're pointing to the aisleway or the hard cam in WCW, and I never quite understood that. Dude with the bell is back there behind the screen, ready to ring it. Just give me the word, Nick Patrick. Like, it doesn't even make sense for TV. Like, I don't even know why you would even bother to do it in the hard cam. Seems like some stupid Kevin Dunn idea. Ugh. That looked sick. That stomp on the table onto Bubba. That looked legit. Oh yeah, I don't think he was doing the Scorpion Death Drop yet. I think that was one of his first like attack moves as the Crow Sting. He was hitting people. It's kind of like his stunner, hitting people from behind with that shit. Look at Bubba saluting the crowd. Hey, I won. Look at this terrible low budget shit. These are terrible PNG renders. I could do better than this. Hulk Hogan. Ooh, that shot right there of the Mega... Look at the Renegade of the Mega Powers might have been the match against Orndorff and Roma I was talking about. The Monster Maniacs. Okay, so it's Arn and the Renegade in the respective corners. Look at the Renegade. So we got Renegade, Savage, and Vader, our deceased combatants in this one. Renegade, my God, Michael Buffer. They got him already.
On a night of legends at WCW Slamboree 1995, it's time for a tag team main event featuring the living legends of the
There was a segment on Raw in like '98 where it was like this Vince McMahon appreciation ceremony or some shit, and he was in the ring it was just a big performance to put himself over, but he was in a tux. And when I saw him, I'm like, holy shit, he looks exactly like Michael Buffer to me. Because that was like the first time I'd seen Vince in like a black tux tie with the way he looked in '98. They resembled each other a lot. Because Vince was never really out there in a tux when he was doing segments on TV. He wore a tux a little bit in the '90s when he was on commentary. Wearing purple. That purple robe. That's a classic. Here comes Vader. Another weird thing Jerry Lawler mentioned on the Over the Edge '98 commentary during the Vader and Kane match. He goes, I remember Vader used to come out with this big elephant head. And it just seems like after he lost that, he was never the same, which was kind of a funny comment to make since he lost that way before he came into WWE. And I'm like, that's really funny, Lawler. The greatest big man in history today. Vader. I mean, he's the exact image of what a casual, non-wrestling fan person would think of if they have to come up with a general idea in their head of what a professional wrestler looks like. Like back in these days, Vader is what their brain should produce. That might not be the case now, but back then, I think Vader is the exact image, I think, of what the general public had of wrestling in terms of how the guys looked. Just big, crazy-looking motherfuckers with masks. Hey, y'all, he's got the red, white, and blue running through his veins. Jimmy Hart. Also, he was born and raised in the US of A. He's also a bunch of other words I don't understand, and he's American made. He's American made. Oh, look at the pyro. Don't point to your own pyro, Hogan. It's like wearing your own gimmick shirt, like you're also doing. Look at him. What is, you can tell, see, I was like, this is where I think we see the Giant, because you can tell they're all stalling and shit. And see, this was actually pretty well pulled off. I mean, all you got was a super wide shot of this monster. And I was watching this on the scrambled channel at my house. And I remember hearing, I'm like, And I thought, I'm like, that's probably the next opponent for Hogan, but I had no clue who it was. Who was that? He'd turn up again. I know he'd throw like what was supposed to be like Andre the Giant's Princess Bride shirt at Hogan or something. And I think that was like the Bash at the Beach. The one where they're outside. I think Hogan works with Vader. And you could tell that after Vader, you know, it's going to be the Giant. They followed WWE's format from 10 years earlier. WrestleMania 1 was Hogan in a tag team match and with a bunch of celebrities and Mr. T and Muhammad Ali. And that was pretty much what Hogan's debut was against Flair, with a lot of those same people involved. Then he moved into a program with Vader, just like he moved into a program with Bundy. And then after that, he moved on to Andre the Giant, just like he moved on to the Giant. They were just copying everything, copying the whole format, took the whole blueprint and just redid it. And in my wrestling memory, too, there's two Hogans. There's dark eyebrow Hogan and not dark eyebrow Hogan. And when Hogan was like at his peak, he had like the blonde eyebrows and he was so roided up. You know, but here, just Hogan looked like a completely different person to me. Oh, yeah, we forgot about the Renegade. Here he comes. He has to renegade stuff. I mean, it's a fucking Walmart warrior. That's what he should have been called. I'm watching Orange is the New Black right now. And the really, really young Asian girl who talks all the time, who has no friends, has been told to try to relate to the meth heads. And so she goes up to him. She goes, "Hi, y'all. So, Walmart?" And she just says the word Walmart, thinking that will be enough to strike up a conversation. I just found that funny. Savage wearing his Slim Jim colors. What are they called? The Monster Maniacs? Give me a break. See, and look, and now they're going to the Mega Powers. It's all the same shit. I think they could have done more with like if Hogan and Savage would have just not had such a tumultuous personal relationship. They could have done some serious business, man. You know, especially if you did like Savage turning on Hogan again. I know it would be a rehash of what WWE did, but that hasn't stopped WCW. But if you really did it and you took this Savage into a really dark place or something. But instead, Hogan did it. Oh, I bet they did try to call him Renegade Warrior when they're like, okay, let's not get too stupid. This is already stupid enough. I bet you. Like, I can't believe they just made their own. I don't know what's worse, this or fake Razor and Diesel. I mean, at least WWE owned up to what they were doing. Hey, we own these names or whatever, but like this is just... Because I think at this time, that was the one name out there. As a fan, I was expecting Warrior to show up. So when they showed that silhouette of Renegade, but trying to pass it off like it was the Warrior, even though you could tell it really wasn't him, I wouldn't have been. I thought, I was like, oh, they got the Warrior. I figured they would. They got everybody else. Why wouldn't Warrior come in at that point when you see Hogan and Savage and everybody else there? So what's stopping Warrior? So to me, at that time, it wouldn't have even been much of a shock. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then when it turned out not to be him, I was like, oh, phew. I was like, that might have been too much. That might have just been, that would have been WWE's, all the money they've ever made off of wrestling is in a completely different company now. And lucky for Warrior, That allowed WWE to make him a pretty nice offer.
Hogan has seen and felt the wrath of that man. Not fully, though. He still looks, he's still standing. And he's going to feel it tonight.
I have no idea, Mike. I can see Brody spending, if he stayed here in the States and he was able to make better money than in Puerto Rico or Japan or something, then I feel like he'd be an NWA and WCW guy for sure. If WWE brought him in, he would have definitely been given a gimmick, I think. I feel like it's possible he wouldn't. I guess they could have brought him in as Bruiser Brody, but something tells me at that time they wouldn't have. But that might be wrong. I mean, if he didn't get killed and he came in around, let's say, like 88. I mean, One Man Gang came in as One Man Gang, so they weren't changing up everybody back then. So, yeah, he probably could have gotten in there as Bruiser Brody if he would have came in right away in, like, 88, before we got to the 89, 90, 91 period where Berserker, Undertaker, and guys like that, Nails. So they brought him in then. He might have had a gimmick. So I guess it depends on the time. But I'd rather not see him come in just to be fed to Hogan. So, but he'd make some money, that's for sure. I think WCW, he would have been a way better fit. And can just be his batshit insane self. Damn. I personally have not visualized Vader and Randy Savage in the ring many times together. So this is kind of cool to see. Look at Vader, unmasked. Completely unmasked already. Took literally no time at all. Yeah, they got Angelo in the front row, I know. I don't know if they have everybody from the Hall of Fame sitting out there. Or the families. Yeah, Vader would go face pretty soon, and then he'd be AWOL. And off to WWF. Oh, wow. Yeah, I always thought it would have been hard for Undertaker to go to WCW because of the Undertaker gimmick and stuff. Although, once he became the American Badass, he probably did have a window there where he could have jumped after he ran with the American Badass for a couple of years. He could have gone to WCW and just been called the American Badass or something similar to that, and it probably would have been a way easier transition than if he would have attempted to go over there right in the middle of the dead man gimmick. Because what would he have done, you know? Can't be Undertaker. And he probably can't be a gimmick that's really that similar to it. I'm sure he can be something dark, but I don't know if he can come out there looking the exact same. And whatever silly-ass name they would give him, who knows. So he probably knew that. Look at the Enforcer. That's all right, man. I've already had a match tonight. I had to humble this little high school student. Flair and Savage revisiting things. I always thought it was a trip as a fan to see them feuding again after everything they went through in '92 in WWE. And the whole Elizabeth stuff. And to see that come full circle and Elizabeth actually be a heel and join up with Flair, to me that was all so crazy to be watching in real time. Damn, Savage and Flair going at it. I mean, they're still very quick and very capable I mean, at the time, as fans like me were referring to these guys as dinosaurs, but these guys can still go. Even Hogan's still got a little pep in his step by this point. Hogan's tights are so fucking yellow. I also never liked yellow wristband Hogan era. He started that shit in his last run in WWE in 93. He started that before Cena did. He just, like I said, in my mind, in my wrestling fan mind, there's two Hogans. There's the one from 84 to 91. Well, there's three Hogans. There's actually four Hogans. There's heel Hogan, there's AWA Hogan, and then there's the 84 to 91 Hogan that I remember. And then there's the WWE 93 through his WCW run in the red and yellow where he looked like this because he was off the gas. That he just wasn't as physically impressive anymore to me. But still in great shape. I love that Hogan pinned Arn Anderson with a cradle. Yeah, they got Hogan isolated now. Flair going to work on the knee. Look at Flair. Jesus Christ. Crazy seeing the end of Vader in WCW. This is so close to the end for him. And they would all start to go. I mean, didn't we say Steve Austin wrestled on the show on the kickoff? Dustin Rhodes just got fired, so Vader and Dustin and Austin, Cactus Jack, they would all head to WWE. Brian Pillman. Who's he calling for? Oh, he's back. Oh, look at him. Oh, my God, look at that. There he is. He's huge. That was another guy when I saw him. I only knew him from magazines. I saw pictures of him like with Arn Anderson, but a few months before he came into WCW, and I was like, Jesus Christ, 7 feet? And it was somewhere in Japan. And I was like, oh God, this is a guy. There's another guy that like would be great if Vince could get him. But I think at this point, Vince was going to be outbid easily every time. Look out, Vader. Hogan slams Vader, doesn't he? Oh, ran Hogan over. Savage. Yeah, somebody give me a timeline, too. When did the fight with Paul Orndorff happen? It was before this, I think, but maybe around this time, too. It might have been right before he left. I don't know. Yeah, it's Andre's son. Of course, that's what they're going to do. Because that's the thing that's so crazy is I remember, I think one of the things Bischoff has said is criticizing AEW for like bringing in WWE guys. I'm like, bitch, are you seriously saying this right now? Look at what we're watching right here. Even if you can't get a WWF guy, you're making a copy of it, like the Renegade. I'm like, of y'all people, you're gonna say something like that? The biggest violator in history of this. Vader bomb nails Hogan.
52 pounds right across the midsection from about 6 feet in the air and
Look at Flair dancing. I think we watched Starrcade 93, didn't we? Flair and Vader. Oh, wow, he's going for a moonsault now. Look out, Hogan. Oh, no, top rope Vader bomb. Misses it. Come on, Hogan. Savage is right there. Tag him. Tag made. Here comes Savage. Okay, so that took place right before he left then. Holy shit. That's one way to leave the company. Getting old. My lower back hurts sitting in this chair. Oh. Yeah, what is it with Sid? Oh. This isn't the finish yet, but he is going for the elbow, and I do not see Vader. But I don't feel like this is the finish. Savage is bleeding. Wow. No ref. Oh, Savage is positioning himself to be pulled out. Jesus. Savage was so bad at that. He did the same thing at WrestleMania 8 like 2 or 3 times in the match. He kept trying to pin Flair so strangely, with his feet sticking so far out the bottom rope. I'm like, can you be more obvious? Oh, big bump by Savage. Oh, the Renegade. What are you going to do, Renegade? Vader would be like, hey, you know what? In about a year, I'm going to be facing the real thing. Oh, Renegade took down Arn. Something's got to be done about this Renegade. Tell him, Bobby. Yeah, I didn't know if it was Savage's blood or somebody else's blood, but nobody's bleeding. The only blood that I see is on Savage's chest. Vader is going for another moonsault. Jesus. You should bust this out once. Oh, my God. God damn. Oh. I'm sorry, I would not want to take that move. I mean, one miscalculation, his knee comes down in your head and your head smashes like a jar of pickles. No way, man. Savage took that one hard. Ouch. I didn't see where he said it, but apparently Big Show has revealed somewhere that he could do a moonsault, but wasn't allowed to. And I'm glad that he wasn't allowed to. Just like Brock should not be allowed to do shooting star presses. Yeah, Renegade and Warrior were briefly in WCW. Did they face each other? They should have done that. Kind of like when Goldberg beat up Gilbert. Okay, Van Vliet. I didn't catch where he said that. But Big Show does say a lot of things. And if he could do a moonsault, there was only a small window of his career where he could do a moonsault. Or do one even slightly safely, I should say. What if Giant faced Vader? Did we ever get Giant and Vader or Paul White and Vader? I don't think we did. Or Big Show and Vader? They just missed each other. They just passed right by. By the time Paul White came into WWE and became the Big Show, Vader had just left. So they had just, their stars never aligned. Hogan going to work on Flair. Oof. Pretty sure the Monster Maniacs win this. I just don't know who gets pinned. Probably Flair, because unless they do a DQ or something. Oh, there's a big slam to Vader. Because I know Hogan will go into a program with Vader now. After this for the title, I think. Down goes Arn. Flair's in there to take the boot. Just eats it face first. Oh, Arn grabs a leg. Here comes Renegade to chase off Arn. I do like the bars on the edge of the ring post that you can use to... The 80s WWE rings had those. Oh, my God. Look at Savage. Fucking Rey Mysterioing his way through the... Oh, wow. They're tipping over the guardrail. Hogan's by himself in the ring, hulking up on Flair. I have a feeling this might be the finish with Savage tying up Vader on the outside and Hogan all alone to put Flair down. Maybe he just has to dispose of Arn first. Okay, why is the referee allowing this? Are they not going to ring the bell, are they? Took down Flair. All right, Pee Wee Anderson's not going to DQ Arn. That's good. Here's the big leg. That should be the end. And that's it. Hogan and Savage. Tag team match, main eventing a pay-per-view. WWE saw this. So they literally did it the very next month, right? King of the Ring 95, it was Diesel and Bam Bam against Tatanka and Sid. They're like, oh shit, well, okay. And WWE's been used to doing that anyway. The first two SummerSlams were headlined by tags. He was born and raised in the US of A. Not only born, but also raised. It's very important. Yeah, quite the audience here. Shawn Michaels in the front row. Hogan wins. LOL, Hogan wins. I don't know where Lanny Poffo was, but there was the story that Lanny has told that he was actually under WCW contract and they planned to bring him in with a gimmick and everything. But then they decided not to. Oh, here comes Angelo. And then his contract rolled over and he got paid again. He got paid for a couple of years for doing dick in WCW, according to him anyway. But I think he was just sitting at home, as far as I know. So this is it here. Angelo jumped the barricade to protect his dad, and now the Horsemen are going to fuck him up. Look at him taking the punches. Flair and Angelo Poffo. That's so cool. Damn. He bumped, too. Bumped hard. What is it with Flair and Savage's family? If it's WWE, it's his wife. WCW, it's his dad. When you bring his mom in there and DDT her. Here we go. Hogan. Where have you been, Hogan? Hogan was like already in the back. I already had my first Miller Lite opened. Heenan's laughing. You all right, Dad? I have Slim Jims in my pocket. They cure everything. It doesn't matter what you have, broken leg, you Slim Jim. Hogan, Slim Jim. Dastardly heels. He should be locked up. Hey, what's up, bro? Yeah, you would think Savage is already crazy as it is. Now you beat up his dad on pay-per-view? Yeah. Hold on, buddy. I'm just about done with the stream. The cat is here and he wants attention. Yeah, has anybody gotten attacked on the same night they got inducted into the Hall of Fame? You're okay, Dad. Hold on, buddy. This is not safe. As you can see the tail on camera there. Just chill, buddy. All right. That's it. We got to leave him on that note, bub. You can say goodbye. All right, get down. We're going to be done now. All right, that is a wrap on Slamboree 1995. That was way more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. I was a little bit worried about this one, but we haven't showed WCW any love in quite a while, so I figured we were way overdue to do a good old WCW show. Excuse me. So I'm glad we knocked that one out, but my voice is starting to mess with me, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of here now. Thank you very much for being here. Not sure the status of WWE Raw review tomorrow. I'm going to see how the show looks because I'm going to be up here a little bit different this week because Double or Nothing is coming up next weekend, and I'm going to that. So I'll be up here during the week, probably Thursday, for a predictions video. So I'll have an idea what I'm doing here pretty soon. So make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door, and I will catch you real soon this week. Thanks again for being here. Y'all take care. Peace.